Hi all, good morning. So today's job is to fit Jon Webster's amazing rear disc brake kit onto the back of this lovely blue Sinclair C5. Happy days. So thank you, Jon. So Jon can be found on the Sinclair C5 Owners Club, Jon Webster, and also probably most of the other UK C5 forums as well. So yeah, that's his kit there. So the Sinclair it's going to go on is my blue one. And I run this without hubcaps because it looks top notch, and obviously with the disc brake on the back that's going to look even better and obviously perform better as well. So on the front of this particular C5 I've got Jon's front kit on there, which is, I literally recommend that to everybody who's got a Sinclair C5. Just unless you want to keep it literally bog standard, fit one of these because it makes the braking so much better, so much lighter, just way better. That's the front one. And then say adding the back one on, you know, it's just extra pose factor, and of course it does help the C5 stop even better from the back, so it just makes your brakes super light on both front and rear. And also on this one here without the hubcaps, it'll look top notch. So all it is really, this is his Mk2 version, but basically it looks to me like the caliper's just got a different orientation, that's all on it. That's all for that one there. A bit more clearance. If I pan around to this one, this is Mk1 version, and I say the cable comes at this end here, and there's a bit more sort of chance of it rubbing just there ever so slightly, that's all, if it's not sort of set up and spaced correctly. So yeah, the potential Mk2 kit could be say better, having the lever this side to give more clearance. So, but I love that. That's my main C5. Absolutely love that one. So yeah, no, back to this. We've got so thank you, Jon. You've got the sort of adapter sort of bracket here, which sort of mounts in there. So in a minute I'll take that off. You've got the brake cable, which you probably need to cut to length potentially with some side cutters. I'll have a look and see. Disc, obviously. You've got the spacer, which goes in between in the wheel hub there to add all the strength as well, and so the disc butts up against it. You've got the amazing mud flaps to go on for detail perspective. Just need to 4 small screws, little drill bit, super easy, really nice. And you've got things like the fixtures and fittings in here as well, sort of various bits and bobs, cable ties, etc., and the screws as well to mount, say, the disc basically through the wheel and through this. But I'll come to that anyway in a minute. Stainless steel. Right, I shall get on with it. Right. Cheers. So the first job is to remove the rear wheel. So yep, put all the bits and pieces on a bit of cardboard so it's all kept safe. You need a special tool in order to loosen this off. So take that piece off there. This is where you want to sort of speed up things a little bit, see? And then take that off. Don't lose your bearings. That just to one side. Here we go, there's the rest of it there. So ultimately what you do is basically you remove these, you flip this piece here around, and then you basically bolt this in place. So these 2 black bolts will basically just go through the holes here. It will. But I'll show that in a minute anyway. So right, that's the first bit. Right then, yeah, so as you can see here, you remove all the nuts and bolts from this whole mechanism. So now the hoop is now loose. You've moved the bolts here, you move the nuts and bolts, etc. on the back. The old brakes can come out, so get yourself a bag like one of these to keep all your original bits and pieces in. These all have sort of value. You realistically will never ever return to these units because the disc brake kit is much better. But obviously somebody else in the forum might want those sorts of bits, you know, and obviously they don't make them anymore. Yeah, now this piece here is off, and basically you can now split this in order to get this out. Obviously it's difficult to do this sort of one-handed. There you go, like that. And then basically we then just, so it goes this way here normally, you then spin it around to this angle here. So I'll just put this in place roughly. Right, that's the top one. Here we go. This one out. Excuse me. Like that. And this one here then goes into there. Like that. It's nice and easy. So really easy so far. Literally minutes jobs to do that. Little top tip is that when you remove this piece just here, there is 10mm, but it's very thin, so you'll find that the spanner won't go on there. So all you need to do is use a pair of pliers like these, just to hold it slightly like that, and then you can loosen the locking nut on the back using the 10mm or a spanner. Just a little tip. Yeah, and then take all those out as they are, put them in a bag, put the nuts on and the washers on it, keep it all together. So you won't be needing things like this piece here either anyway anymore. So you could leave that off, but what I like to do with mine is I like to put this piece here back on, just so that it's on there, not loose in a bag somewhere. And also, you know, it might add a bit of extra strength as well, I expect. So you don't need to use that, but I'm going to put that back on again anyway. Cool. But yeah, so the next bit is to remove the brake drum. So all you do is you put it up against a piece of wood like this block of wood, get something like this, put it in there, and then just hammer it with a lump hammer. So get a few sort of whacks like this, a few whacks at the bottom, and that'll just pop off. Now what I've decided to do, as that was actually a brand new old stock wheel for this C5, I decided to use this one here. This is an old wheel that's got a much worse brake drum on it, but a really perfectly fine wheel. Again, I flipped it over, smack, and then it just literally just pops off. And that's it. So I'm going to give this wheel a clean up, make it nice and mint, and then and then get ready now to bolt all these bits and pieces on. Cool, nice. Right then, so as we know, the brake drum's off. I've just swapped the tyre over, hence why there's a bit of water on there. We'll just wash the wheel nice and clean and detail, ready to go. So that's cool. So next job, remove the two nuts, get this unit here, and ultimately just goes on like this. Just put this on there. There we go. Sweet. And then we get the spacer, which also acts as the support for this, and it's nice because it's got this sort of effect around it here, so it means it really grips in solid. So put it in like that. You know, you can give it a tap, etc. I mean, tap around it. I'll tap around it in a minute once I can sort of balance and stuff, but ultimately it presses in like this, so that's good. Happy days. Next up, just get the disc. Put the disc in place, and I'll show you how to mount that. Cool. Right then, so bolt this on. So it takes two different size Allen keys, a larger one and a smaller one, plus a 13 and a 10mm. Nice and easy, super easy. Loosen off the top caliper bolt here, and remove the bottom one. That way you can swing the caliper around, as you see up here. Cool. Next up is drilling the wheel. Quite an easy task actually. So all you do is you put in some masking tape, wrap some masking tape around here like twice, because you'll find that the spacer is slightly wobbles otherwise, and you won't get it absolutely spot on. And then all you do then is you line up the spacers here to be dead in the middle of these. So you get it around exactly as close as you can to perfect, like that, for example. And then I use a small drill bit to hold this in place. Run a small drill bit for each hole to make a pilot hole in each one. Then you can remove the bracket, remove the masking tape, and then you can drill the larger hole to match the size of the nut and bolt. Cool. Right, let me go for it. Right then, so one thing I forgot to mention actually was this piece here. So that's actually got the part number just there. You actually need to file that down. So I just used a Dremel with a sanding disc on the end. So you file it down like that. So that way, when you put this in, it sits completely flat. Otherwise, it actually sits ever so slightly on the raised lettering here. So just something I just remembered actually a minute ago. So so you see I drilled the holes, nice and easy. So one thing to be aware of is obviously the disc rotation. So you've got to think, so you see there's an arrow on there. So if you think, you know, when that's in place, when that's rotating, when that's then on that wheel there rotating around, obviously it's going to go this way. Obviously that's the direction of the arrow there, so that's an important one. I mean, I don't even know if it matters if you have it the other way around or not. Maybe, you know, for performance and bicycles, maybe it does matter, but yeah, for this it's fine. So so point it that way. Cool. So I'm now going to put the nuts and bolts in, and the easy technique for that, honestly, it's so easy. It's just to use electric drill with the relevant piece on the end, and all you do is you can put it, stand up on its side, put that in there, put one of the nuts on the back and just hold it in place with your finger, and then just gently rotate it until it takes it, and then whiz it up. And you don't need to do these overly tight. So just put it, say for example, on a screwdriver setting. I'll try it in a second, but say for example a halfway setting there, and obviously once it goes up to torque, that's it, it's done. So it doesn't need to be cranked up, and it's much faster if you use this rather than an Allen key. Cool. Right then, so it's looking good. So yep, just put it back on there. So now I'm basically going to re-clean the bearing, just quickly wipe around this, put some fresh grease in there, put these on here. Again, you need the special tool for this one, which is in the C5 tool kit. Just holds it in place, and then a 17mm socket for this one here. So put that on there, get it set up right, so obviously it spins El Minto basically, and then you can flip the caliper down and say bolt it on loosely, and then just see how it sort of settles. And then the only really marginal tricky bit slightly really is then just using the spacers accordingly to obviously space the caliper to be as close to center as you can. So yeah, let me do that in a second and I'll show you. Right then, yes, it's all in, looks really good. So you can see the back side of the wheel on here, the fixings. So I've set it up now. I like to have it so it just rubs. So when you rub it, when you spin it round, the disc just rubs on the pads. That way the pads obviously bed in and flatten in to match the disc. You can obviously have it so that nothing rubs at all, no problem at all. But then you find the lever will basically squeeze in probably 80% of the way. So with this sort of option here, the lever squeezes in about sort of 50-60% of the way, which I'd much prefer, and obviously it'll bed in pretty quickly. So yeah, really nice bit of kit. So what I found is removing the control box, 2 screws, really easy, get out of the way, happy days, and it gives you much more room to access it. So cable wise, I've decided to route the cable this way here. Now I had a little look, put the boot on, and it didn't rub at all. So obviously you can just go straight from here, straight round into here, but I wanted absolutely no chance whatsoever of the cable hitting the tyre ever, so which it won't do. And I just thought that was quite a neat option anyway. So but you can do any option you want. For reference, this is a standard cable, and I cut off, as you see there, 22 centimeters of cable, and obviously longer for the inner cable. That's that. But I'd suggest just put it into place, line it up, make a little cut into the tubing with this, just to mark it. Then you go to the handlebars, you pull out the inner wire, you know, just say a foot for example, and then you can snip it off, poke the wire back through again, set it all up, and then snip it off at the bottom here. And obviously use a little cap on the bottom there for neatness. I just mounted it through there. Again, you could cut it off here, put it out anywhere you want to put it, but I went through there just because I thought, you know, it might look quite neat, that's all, and it gives me that opportunity to play with stuff should ever need to. But yes, caliper mount is completely fine. So little top tip for this is that for my one, I used 5 washers on the inside here and 5 washers on the inside there, and then you have to use at least 2 washers here on the outside, otherwise the bolt will just grazes the inside of the disc. So you have to use at least 1 or 2 washers on this one, and you don't actually have to use any washers on this one here at all. So just for your information, that's all. So that was fine. And then of course you then can pull the cable through, and what I like to do is I pull the lever up slightly like this, hold it in place with some pliers like that, then tighten up the 10mm here. That's the sort of technique you want, because obviously you don't want the lever all the way at the bottom, otherwise again you'll find when you squeeze the lever on handlebars, it'll squeeze in all the way before it gets full braking power. So pulling up a little bit like this, hold it in with some pliers, tighten it up, try the lever in and out, adjust it as required. Now the adjustment for the pads is actually this tiny little screw here. So what you do is you use a 9mm spanner just to loosen off this piece here, or was it 8mm spanner? So 8mm spanner, and then you just need an Allen key, such as this one here. You put it in the end, and then you can screw it in, and then you basically screw in an adjuster which basically pushes the inner pad in, or obviously outwards, and then you can get it set up absolutely exactly as you want it. So obviously you want the pad as close to the disc as possible without it blatantly rubbing, you know, hard. So just so it's just grazing it like I've got it. Yeah, and then that's how you do your adjustment there basically on these ones. But yeah, that looks really good. Really pleased with that. Happy days. So I'll put the control box back on now, and literally just take it for a spin, to be honest with you. And obviously it'll take a little while to bed it in. So what you can do is, what I tend to find with the front ones as well, is I'll just drive along, holding my hand on the brakes very slightly, just to sort of help the disc cut into the pads, just to sort of break it in, and do that for, you know, 5-10 minutes, whatever, and then you'll find that the pads would have broken in. Absolutely lovely. So yeah, really good. So thank you, Jon. Thanks to Jon for that. I'm going to fit your excellent mud flaps in a second, but I won't bother including that on the video. And yes, so Jon Webster, Sinclair C5 Owners Club. If anybody wants the kit, I recommend. The front one is epic, and the back one is also superb as well. When this is his Mark II, where the cable comes in this direction, it gives a little bit more clearance this end. Cool, thanks all. Cheers.